riskiest stunt in Terminator 2, and how James Cameron called his entire crew wimps, and then he's the one who filmed the helicopter flying underneath the overpass. But yeah, good old Chuck did it.
Yeah.
So 74-year-old Chuck, he has over 100 credits.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's
if you're listening, look up Chuck.
And if anyone knows him, then we'll have him on the show. He has nothing to do with this film, but we want to talk to him.
Oh yeah, I'd love that. I don't know. I just got he was in Scarface. Jeez Louise. I'm just keep on yelling movies. This is not a thing for a podcast. I mean, Commando. Getting even with Dad. Wait, Police Academy 3 Back in Training. That's the one with the jet ski chase, right?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Let's not go down there. Calm down, Mark. Calm down.
Yeah. No more jet ski action scenes. I'll lay off of that.
Yeah.
But one question I had about this particular scene, and specifically about the helicopter explosion here, is I was just sort of wondering about the logic of the sequence. And so we see this helicopter getting pulled by the shark into the part of the building of this particular facility. And I was thinking about, okay, well, have we got the schematics of this facility? Because to kind of tug the helicopter into that building, the sort of you'd assume the shark would have to go underneath it and some way out the other past it in order to kind of get the helicopter into that particular building. And I just wondered, does the geography of that particular moment actually make sense?
Yes.
Next question.
Okay. Next question.
So I've actually planned this whole thing out. I know where most things are, and that's a great point that you said. I mean, I guess what I would have to guess is it was pulling the helicopter through that. Somehow the shark was able to get on that walkway, and the rope was so taut that it was shredding the metal walkway that it was going through, which is kind of mind-boggling. But even, I guess, if the shark turned, it still might be pulling slightly to go around the Aquatica. It still might pull them in that direction. That's my only guess that I have right there. That's what I think. But I mean, the geography that they've established, well, okay, let's see. So where he pulls the shark from, and we know that, oh man, that's a great question. So it hits low. What if it swam all the way it could, then swam down and just kept that momentum going for the helicopter?
Then the helicopter's going kind of horizontally parallel to the ground.
Yeah.
So it would be moving in a more downwards motion if the shark was going down.
It hits pretty low when it hits. It doesn't hit the tower exactly, the radar lounge.
Yeah. So maybe the shark has gone. It can't have gone under. There wasn't enough cable for it to go underneath the facility. No.
Maybe just working its way down and pulling it.
Like there are a lot of walkways. So the walkway that it's shredding might not be the one leading directly to the radar lounge.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This might be the one moment. This might be the one moment of reality that this film breaks.
We found the film's flaw. We knew that it would have one. I think we found it.
I love when this happens though, because I have such a weird love, I'm so in love with this movie that I excuse all its faults. And I'm like a grown man who gets angry about that stuff. No. But yeah, no. I mean, based on the geography and where they hit the radar lounge, no, I don't. I mean, I don't see it. I don't know if that would actually work. Because remember when he runs out to secure him, he's on the catwalk, right? So is the water underneath him when he is attaching Whitlock to the helicopter?
I'm going back to the start of this chapter and just kind of going through it. And the helicopter is kind of facing to the left of the lounge, and it gets pulled right, so it's facing on. So I think the shark went down and around the central column where I think the elevator is, below the radar lounge, and then pulled the helicopter. So just think of like a tube, like a big spike going down the center. It went round that and pulled the helicopter in towards it. So the cable is grating against the elevator shaft. This isn't making any. I could draw it and it would make a little bit of sense, but I think I'm just going to have to cut this whole thing out of the conversation to otherwise...
No.
No,
When we release
this is a perfect film.
When we release the episode, I want the drawing, and I'll put it up on... We'll put it up on Deep Blue Sea, the podcast, Twitter, and Facebook, so people can see it.
I'll see what I can do.
You got a few weeks. You can do it.
Whilst we're looking at the facility, I want to kind of map out the path of the explosion. Because if everyone's listened to the How Did This Get Made episode on Deep Blue Sea, which is a famous one, it's a very, very good episode. But one of the main problems that they had on that was the size, the scale of the explosion, and how just the helicopter crashes and the whole damn thing blows up. And I just kind of wanted to see how realistic that would be. I didn't go out and try this. That would be fun, but I didn't. So the helicopter crashes into the center. There's an explosion there. It kind of looks like fireworks going off. To be honest, there's a few fingers of like flames jetting up, like someone's setting off flares. And then there is a spark when there's a shot of the plane. It feels like there's a really random shot of, hey, the plane's still there. That's cool, isn't it? And behind that, you see a spark trailing off and landing in two giant canisters behind the plane, which I think might be fuel of some kind, perhaps. So it's entirely believable that they would explode. And then you see an overhead shot, which there's very, very briefly, one single jet launches from those fuel canisters and goes straight for the plane and then blows the plane up. So they thought about, hey, what on the surface is going to blow up? It's where the helicopter is, then it's the fuel, and then it's the plane. Nothing else would, and that's fine because nothing else is aimed for. Yeah, so the fire has a mind of its own. It's like lightning. It's going towards where it's going to cause the most damage.
Like Scott Glenn from Backdraft was out there planning that explosion out.
Yes, exactly. We were all thinking it. Exactly that.
Yeah, but you do see that spark landing on the gasoline. So they did add that in there. You see and then they had to blow up the plane though.
Yeah, it's the scene. One spark flying out towards the plane that I love because it's aiming for it.
Yeah, what is it in Backdraft? Fire it knows. It finds a way. It's like nature.
It moves like it has a mind.
Jurassic Park Backdraft.
If Jeff Goldblum was in this, fire finds a way. Let me see. Like you get this fire on your arm and it burns all your arm hairs.
I got the sense from this scene that this was the part of the film that Rennie Harlin was looking forward to the most because throughout his career, I mean, Harlin basically likes blowing things up. I mean, he's not really interested in things like character development or narrative arcs. I mean, he's all about car chases, gunfights, and explosions. And
there's nothing wrong with that.
He certainly takes the opportunity here to blow a lot of stuff up.
Oh yeah, this was one of the last things they filmed. Because they wanted to shoot everything else in these sets first and then blow them up. So absolutely, I guarantee he was looking forward to doing this so he could trash the things that he'd built.
Oh, I love it. And it looks better than a miniature. And they saved money just blowing the setup as opposed to, I don't know, I dig it. Like they didn't build a miniature that obviously looks like a miniature. There's some really interesting miniature work in The Long Kiss Goodnight, by the way. That's a random thread, but no, I mean, it's a good big explosion. I love a good big explosion. I dig it. And also it's a Die Hard 2 callback, which makes me happy because I love Die Hard 2. It's a beautiful film. You guys want to hear a random thing real quick?
Always.
So I love the Crazies remake. It's really I love it, but they were shooting a house and no one lived in there because they said that it was haunted. So the director Breck Eisner, they got to shoot in there for relatively cheap, and then he went, "Hey guys, can I light this on fire? Because it's haunted," and the town's like, "Yes, do it." So that house that you see in the Crazies that's on fire, they actually thought was haunted because there was a murder in there. So they just let them burn it, and it's good production value and leads to a nice shot. So it's giving you a heads up on that.
I love the idea of somebody going around saying, "Hey, can I light this on fire?" Just as a question in everyday life.
That was what Corman would do. He was like, "Guys, go find a place that's about to be demolished, and we'll film it." Like that's good production design. Like that's what he would do. He would find abandoned places and blow them up.
Well, I hope they got plenty of coverage for that particular scene because obviously reshoots not an option.
Yeah. But during the explosion, I wrote down tower, wide shot, kitchen, blowing up the stairs, people getting shook up in the lab, another wide shot, overhead shot, plane blows up, and then you have another overhead shot of the explosion. They got many different angles of this explosion. And I felt really bad for Preacher in that kitchen. I mean, he went flying.
Yeah, well, he took out a whole shelving rack, didn't he? And that's not even like a food one. That's crockery on there. He could have got cut up pretty bad from that. I don't blame him for reaching for the cooking sherry at the end. I mean, it's not the thing to drink because cooking sherry is not very nice to drink.
What was that he was drinking? Cause
I think it's cooking sherry.
Because it's not a big bottle. It's quite a small bottle. So that kind of slightly confused me.
I googled cooking sherry images and I found some bottles that look similar. So I think it's cooking sherry. It looks kind of the right colour as well. But cooking sherry is really salty compared to like actual sherry. So it's not you're not really supposed to drink it. You can, but it's not nice. I don't like sherry anyway.
The other option I came up with cider vinegar, but I think cooking sherry might be better.
I mean, that's good for your health. You just got to rinse your mouth out so it doesn't get, burn your teeth.
He takes this as a sign that he needs to start looking after himself.
I don't think he was looking for something delicious.
Like,
if anything would have been there, turpentine he probably would have had at that
Cooking
moment.
oil, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Very
he sees it, he drinks it, and then, but I mean, whatever, your entire plate. But you know what I do like about this explosion? I don't know what y'all think about this, but it does establish that everything's foobarred for these people.
Oh,
I mean, you have Ada Tetrillo, Brenda flying on her desk in the air, 200 feet in the air. You have their help blown up. You have, the lab has been destroyed. The kitchen's all torn up. So I think it does a good job. The plane's blown up. They're stuck here now. Set up. I mean, it's bombastic for sure. And there's targeted explosions by Scott Glenn from Backdraft. And it's I don't know, but it's effective.
It's a key plot point. From my point of view, the exploding helicopter is a key sort of plot moment of this film for all of the reasons that you just outlined.
Do you think the scene was in all caps in the script?
Just says boom.
We'll figure it out later.
Do you know my favorite shot of the explosion though? It's the underwater shot. Everything blows up on the surface, and there's just this quick shot from under the water with the surface just kind of on fire. Now,
I was confused by that particular shot because I was expecting – it is a very nice shot, the way that, the water lights up because of the flames above it. But then I was expecting, say, the wreckage from the helicopter to come, past the camera in that particular moment. But nothing happens. And so it felt like – I don't know, it felt like it got left in by accident.
Well, what I like to think that shot is the POV of the shark.
Yep.
Who's under there watching, and if you were kind of to turn the camera around, you'd see them just stroking a cat, stroking a catfish, like a Bond villain. Like, my plan is all coming together.
I like it.
There's a deleted scene where the two sharks look at each other, and they learn to speak. And the shark goes, "I can't believe that worked." And then you see the huge shark in the background swimming by with Jim in its mouth. And you're like, what's he up to? Or what's she up to?
It really was a mistake to excise the sharks can talk subplot of the film. They should have kept that in.
Talking of strange things being said or not being said in this particular film, there's a line of dialogue. I think possibly like the only line of dialogue in this sequence, which Thomas Jane gets, and he says, I listened to it a few times. I couldn't really make it out, but I think he says, "Power alert in the wet lab. Do you have a visual copy?" Now, those are just words. They're not a sentence.
I think it's Tower. I think it's Tower alert. He's
Tower.
He's trying to talk to Brenda up, and he never calls her Brenda. He always calls her Tower. This is Mark's bugbear. So he's trying to get hold of Brenda in the tower to say that they're all in the wet lab. Can she see anything and divert any feed to the cameras down there? Would be my guess, because you got Scoggins remaining utterly useless, trying to get hold of just throughout the whole film. Scoggins is useless. This is the hill I'm dying on. That he's trying to get a feed, and he can only get a feed when he finally decides to go to backup. This has been an option this whole time, apparently. When they lost the feed when Carter was out trying to get the shark, they lost the feed, and then I'm not going to go back up now. I'll wait until an explosion kills everyone. He finally gets back up, and then just seconds before the helicopter crashes. Why didn't he do that 3 scenes ago when it was needed? So
because you wouldn't get the amazing view of the helicopter coming right at you with perfect timing.
It's a great shot. It's great narrative and timing wise. It's wonderful. But
he also taps the screen to restore the clarity of the picture. And like when does that ever work in real life?
Just always.
Scoggins is. You know what, though? In the deleted scene, we learned that the major crew couldn't come back. So,
this isn't his job.
So maybe they had it written in as Scoggins just filling in?
Yes, he has no reason to be there. Or he had no reason to be there during the test. He's definitely doing kind of an apprentice role, where the deputy marine biologist should be there operating the computers, and Scoggins is the best they have, so they're stuffed.
And if you would have cut to, I wish one of the sharks didn't kill all the underwater cameras and they picked up one, the sharks were just laughing together on screen. Wait, what are they doing now? They're just chuckling?